Welcome to HR.com Live. This podcast is produced by HR.com, the #1 destination to help 1.7 million HR executives maximize human potential and drive extraordinary business results.
Good afternoon and welcome to HR.com Live. My name is Dr. Heidi Scott and I'm the Chief Learning Officer here at HR.com. And here I have the goal and the pleasure of ensuring that our learning ecosystem remains innovative so that we can effectively equip HR professionals across the globe with the tools they need to learn, lead, and navigate their careers. I'll be your host for today, and in this episode, we're going to be talking with Mikael Wornoo, and he's the founder and chief product officer at a really cool company called TechWolf. TechWolf is a machine learning startup based in Ghent, Belgium. Maybe we can get him to talk about the startup process a little bit because it's a fascinating story. And they use artificial intelligence to connect people, jobs, and education based on skills. Their product helps large enterprises to proactively manage their current and future skill needs. So Mikael, thank you for being here today, and I'm excited about our conversation we're going to have.
Hi, thanks.
Yeah, you bet. So we hear a lot about reskilling our workforce and getting them ready to meet business needs of the future. From your perspective, Mikael, what are the most critical steps to approach this need?
So I think one of the biggest challenges and often overlooked challenges is really aligning with management and inspiring a learning culture within the company. Companies and people, organizations often think that just buying a learning management system or investing in tools will enable them to be ready for the future. But it's often overlooked that a learning culture is far more important to being ready for the future.
You know, I just want to say, Mikael, he serves on our advisory board along with another number of other highly qualified learning professionals. And in that advisory board, they've helped shape some of the questions that formed a survey, a research report that actually just came out. And it's interesting in that process because what you just talked about is well addressed when it comes to skilling our people and a learning culture. What does that look like? And I'm just curious from your perspective, when you think about helping an organization, even your own organization, be that learning culture, what are like a couple of strategies that you would recommend to others, like maybe something you've done well that would help them develop a learning culture in their organization?
I think there's a lot that can be done on an organizational level, but it really starts with the individual. Individuals have to be aware that, especially today and in the future, their skill set will become irrelevant. So that awareness and really making sure everybody in the organization gets that the skills you have today might not necessarily be the skills you need tomorrow is a critical step that we try to give or enable or try to enable with all of our clients, to really make sure that they don't randomly invest in some tool or just use AI in learning because they want to use the next best thing, but really know why they're doing it and really get that just investing in a tool or just investing in software will not solve a underlying issue. So what we typically do in our own company is schedule moments for self-reflection or schedule moments for going over a personal development plan. And that addresses soft and hard skills. Of course, we're engineering and in artificial intelligence, everything changes so quickly. So you have to stay on top of your game. And I think especially in IT, people are more used to reskilling just because everything changes so rapidly. So the tools or software libraries we used maybe 1 year ago, 2 years ago, aren't relevant anymore today or are completely outdated. So you're really being forced into being up to date. And I think if we can take that attitude and really transfer it to other departments in or within a business, that's really a great first step.
I love everything you said, and I love the fact that the core tenet is it starts with me. It starts with you. It starts with us as individuals, and I think that's mission critical. Yeah. So when we think about everything you said, being that continual learner, fostering a continual learning culture, when it comes to artificial intelligence, I was on a webcast earlier, just today, and someone asked, is artificial intelligence really a thing? Is it a thing that's here? Is it just talked about? Is it something that we can really plug into learning experiences for employees? And so obviously this is your area of expertise. So how would you advise us as we consider artificial intelligence?
Yeah. So when people talk about artificial intelligence, they typically talk about machine learning or deep learning, which is just a small subset of algorithms or techniques that we use to make an algorithm or a computer do or perform a human task better or at the same level. So in learning, there's a few ways artificial intelligence can be used. I think or machine learning can be used. I think the most prevalent technique that's being used today is just recommending courses to people based on AI. And I see a lot of learning experience platforms and learning management systems saying they use AI to recommend courses. And in a way, what they're doing is trying to figure out what content is relevant. So really finding relevant information for a person, learning content, or even other content, like the Netflix algorithm, as it's often used or called, is based on finding relevant information for the person. So that's one area where AI could be used, but it goes beyond that. And especially if you look at really understanding what skills people have, I think that's where the power of AI or machine learning can really be used. And that's what we try to do with our clients is first try to gauge what the skill set of a person is, and then use that skill set to measure skill gaps again in a automated way. And a third point or way machine learning can be used is to really assist the HR professional in creating or crafting personal development plans. So typical skills frameworks have around 10,000, 20,000 skills. And that really gives you an indication or a feel of how varied these skills in today's working environments are. So it's really hard for an HR professional to be up to date with all those skills. So if AI can then function as a kind of co-pilot, giving meaning to certain skills or really enabling the HR professional to craft learning paths for skills that they might not be familiar with, I think that that's an amazing opportunity for really added value by AI.
No, that's terrific. And thanks for making that kind of tangible, where I think sometimes as HR professionals and learning professionals and what I call like the new HR leader, because things are changing, we have to be evolving.
Yeah.
We think about all that. I appreciate just the tangible pieces of ideas of how do we even think about artificial intelligence. When you think about how people are tracking their own skills, enlighten us a little bit about that. What are you seeing and what are you recommending when it comes to how people are tracking their own skills?
Yeah, tracking skills is a really tricky one. If you ask me or anyone else what their current skill set is, they'll probably just tell the last 5 or 10 things they've been working on, the last or skills or things they can think about, the things that are top of mind. But actually, someone's skill set is a lot more varied than what they would think at first sight. And it's really clear when you look at a resume. So a typical resume contains about 10 to 15 skills at most. When we use AI to extract skills out of a resume, we typically get 35 to 50 skills. So that variety in skills that is being extracted can then be used to get a completer picture of the person, the individual that is sitting right in front of you. So tracking skills has to be done continuously. You can't really use a skill survey once every quarter or once every year, because that will enforce some kind of recency bias where you just pick the things that are top of mind. And what I've heard talking with clients is that even the skill surveys are, well, on the bottom of the priority list at most companies.
You know, thinking about all those skills and how they're changing and ever shifting, I'm thinking back, it was like, well, over a decade ago, I did some undergrad teaching at Gonzaga University in Spokane, Washington. Shout out to the Zags. I've got to do that. But in that process, I remember telling students, hey, the job you're going to have, the career and the role that you're going to find yourself in today doesn't even exist. And they looked at me with these blank faces, like, what are you talking about? And yet it's true. Today I am linked in with a number of these past students, and I watch their profiles and their jobs and their career shift, and it's fascinating and very, very fun and fulfilling to see, wow, here's a young person that now an older person that has a career, and it's a career that didn't exist back when they were in their early 20s. So I think that's everything you're talking about, we're seeing. And I think that mindset you shared of being that continual learner and knowing that, and what we have today, what got us to where we got to today isn't going to help us for where we need to go tomorrow.
Yeah, exactly. And there's even today so many new professions. I think one of the examples that speaks to me the most is UX designer. So a user experience designer that really tries to make a website or an application as friendly to use as possible, or as interesting and as easy to use as possible. That didn't exist a few years ago. You just had one simple interface, and you basically just had to figure out how it works. And today you see that it's becoming more and more important that your software is actually pleasant to use. So that's only one of the professions that just emerge out of nothing. And I think these kinds of jobs will keep on emerging at an ever increasing pace, just because you have so much new technologies popping up and so much change within already established areas that people really need to be aware how rapidly every field is changing. And as you said, what got us to today won't get us to tomorrow.
Yeah, for sure. I resonate with everything you're saying. Good conversation. Tell me, when it comes to you're a learner, can you just tell a smidgen of a story, just because I love it? You're from Ghent, Belgium. That's where you are right now as we have this conversation. And what opened the doors to you to even think, hey, I should start a company. I should start this company called TechWolf on, how did that all happen?
Well, we started off as a group of friends, the founder team, and we had some ideas that we were just toying with, guys in a garage or in a living room, talking about what they want to do or how they want to be the next Mark Zuckerberg. But then at one day we saw a hackathon pop up by a private bank in Belgium, and we thought, why not just participate and see what happens. And for us as a team, that was such an amazing experience, because for the first time we had to really work together on something that we actually like doing, solve a real life business problem. And we ended up winning that hackathon. And that for us was the trigger to really start the company, to start TechWolf, just because we found out that the team we have was so strong. And every startup founder you talk to, every entrepreneur, every investor you talk to, really tells you how important a team is. So for us, that was really the trigger to start this journey together. And I'm really glad I did that.
That's cool. I think it's inspiring. So thank you for sharing that, because I'm sure we've got people viewing this or listening to this that are thinking, hey, maybe I should try that in an area of passion and see what happens.
Yeah,
so
definitely.
Cool. So Michael, I'm a learning nerd, and it sounds like you are as well.
Definitely.
Probably most of our viewers and listeners are also. So tell me, what book is on your shelf that probably ought to be on mine, or that you think our viewers and listeners might find really interesting when it comes to artificial intelligence and the future of work?
All right. So a lot of people know Homo sapiens from Yuval Harari, but not a lot of people know the sequel to that book, Homo Deus, which is A Brief History of Tomorrow. And I think that book really captures why it's so important to start learning today, where he essentially talks about how AI will really take your job. It's no way around it, or will fundamentally change your job. So reading that really gives you some perspective about why it's so important to keep your skill set up to date always.
Yeah, thank you. No, and I love what you touched on, because I think sometimes people get fearful.
Hmm.
Artificial intelligence can be a scary topic, when just what you said, odds are it's going to really reshape your current role or make it negligible, because AI can do it for the company. But I think what you said is that parts of that, or a percentage or high degree of that, may be true in the coming decade or two. However, as we continue to upskill ourselves, we'll be positioning ourselves for roles that also today don't exist. So it's
Exactly.
kind of, I think sometimes there can be a fear factor or a scarcity mindset, like, oh, I'm going to become obsolete. Well,
Hmm.
you may be obsolete for the current job you have, but you're going to hopefully keep growing and upskilling and becoming a great shoe-in for a new need in the business that today doesn't exist. So it's kind of,
Exactly. An example is the graphic designers from a few years ago. A lot of them became UX designers just by upskilling and really gaining the skills they need to perform in that new role. So you see some remnants of older roles in newer roles, and I think that will keep on happening. But that really is just a testament to how important reskilling is. So.
yes. Well, wonderful. Thank you, Michael, for taking the time to share your experience and insights with us. And thank you, everyone, for watching. Don't forget to check out our archived episodes on HR.com. We release new episodes every day so that you can stay up to date on all things HR. Have a great day, and cheers.
Thank you for listening to HR.com Live. We have new episodes daily to help you maximize your potential. Be sure to check out our archives on HR.com and share it with your friends. Cheers.